Boker Or Masechet Bava Kamma Daf Daled Amud Aleph 54a says the Gemara. We were talking about, if you remember, right, where it says V'Rabbanan, right? Oh, you remember it says V'Nafal Shama Shor O Chamur. Why did it have to say O? So the rabbis were the ones that hold that O is L'Chalek Ben Shor V'Chamor. Because if you remember, if not, they would say that you're only going to be Chayav if it fell Shama Shor and the Chamor, right? But that's why it says O, one or the other. Rabbi Yehuda, he says, I don't need that. He says, why? L'Chalek, you already learned it from V'Nafal. Because if it says V'Nafal and it doesn't say V'Nafelu, it means that it's not going to be like that. Because V'Nafal is singular. V'Naflu is plural. So I already know, Rabbanan, V'Nafal too. No, it could be sometimes Be'emet. The word V'Nafal could also be V'Naflu sometimes. Okay? You had a question? Okay, fine. Says the Gemara, Ema, I wanted to say V'Nafal is a klal. The word V'Nafal is a general rule. Shor v'chamor is a prat, is a specific. Klal ufrat, em b'klal l'masha b'prat. So there's nothing in the klal but that which is going to be in the prat. Shor v'chamor in, so the shor and chamor, yes. Midi acharina lo. But anything else is not going to be like that. Which means that it's only going to be dafka shor v'chamor and nothing else. And that you learn from the klal ufrat, that's what we're saying. Sa'amli, they said, balabor yishalem. What does it mean now, balabor yishalem? Chazar v'kalal. Again, you have a klal. So klal ufrat uchlal, right? Perat. When you have a general rule and then a specific, in a general, you're only going to judge according to the prat. Ma prat mefurash ba'alei chayim. Just like the prat is going to be mefurash, it's going to be ba'alei chayim. So 2 years, it's going to be ba'alei chayim. So says the Gemara, yihachiv. So he says, ma prat mefurash davar shniblata mitamea b'maga u'masa. Just like the prat is going to be something which is going to be mitameh, the magal masa. Magal masa is touching or carrying. Afkol, so to here also same thing. Davar shenivlata mitameh magal masa. It's going to be something which is going to be mitameh magal masa. Aval ofot had anything to do with ofot? What does that mean? Nothing to do with the birds. It has to be an animal. It has to be something which is mitameh magal masa. So in Ken, so nichtov rachmana, the Torah should write, right? The Torah should write chad prata. Right, one prat. Yeah, what does it mean, one prat? It should come and it should write one prat. Okay? And when it's going to come and it's going to write one prat, so that's what it should actually be writing. So he says, one prat, shor or the chamor. Why does it write down both of them? So he comes and he says, Hay nichtov, which one do you want to write? One more time. You have the shor and the chamor. Which one do you want to write? You're only writing one of them. But which one do you want to write? Shor or the chamor? So he says, ikatav, if it would have been written, right? He comes and he says this. If it would have been written, yeah. If it would have been written shor, havamina, then I would have thought I had a havamina. Karev legabe mizbeach im, sheno karev mizbeach lo. If it only would have been written shor, I would have said that I have to be able to bring it on the mizbeach. Korban. What can you bring in korban? A shor. It cannot be a chamor or anything else. Because it's only something that could be brought in korban. And if it would have been written only the chamor, havamin, I would have thought to say, kadosh b'vchora in, shen kadosh b'vchora lo. Only if it's going to be kadosh b'vchora, for example, chamor. A chamor has peter chamor. You have pidyon of the chamor. That's only by a chamor. It's not by any other animal. No. So therefore, which one do you want me to write? Whichever one you're going to write, I'm going to exclude something else. Ella, but rather, the pasuk says, Amarka, the pasuk says, Vamet yelo. What does it mean, Vamet yelo? So it's mashma, called davar mita. Anything that is shayach mita. And therefore, since it's anything which is shayach mita, that's why we say that. Obviously, it's going to be either or. Anything. It doesn't matter what it is. Okay? Fine. Ben le rabbanan. They come in kelim. Whether according to the rabbis that they come and they exclude kelim from damages of a boar, ubel Rabbi Yehuda, or whether it's according to Rabbi Yehuda, they come kelim that he's going to be marbe kelim. Kelim beremita. 1 second. Kelim, they're not beremita. Meaning, you just came and you just told me that really we wanted to do a klal ufrat uchla. Then we wanted to only write one, and by writing one, so he says, so which one did you want to write? If you're only going to write shor, I would have thought it was only something which is going to be brought in the mizbeach. If you're going to write the chamor, something that only has pidyon petach chamor, meaning a pidyon like of an animal, right? So 1 second. kelim, right? Why? Because kelim, it says v'amet yelo. We said anything that's shayach mita. Kelim is not shayach mita. So what's going on, man? So he says, yes. Amri shviratan zoi mitatan. When you break something, that's a mitavet. So you come and you broke a utensil, you just killed it. You killed the utensil. That's called killing it. Yeah? Urav de amar bor chivalav Torah lehevlo, but according to Shtat Rav, that he says that when the Torah obligated you on bor, it's not on the chavata, it's on the what? It's on the hevel. So it's not on the impact, it's on the actual, on the hevel, on the fumes. Ben Rabbaram, Ben Rabbi Yehuda, Kelim Ben Avlan, this is what? They could have, they can't have, you know, they can't have right now fumes. What's going on exactly? What's the case? So Amri, so they said, Bechadti temipaker mehavla. He says we're talking about new utensils, lecheres chadashim, that it is shayach hevel, which means that you could have hevel, and therefore since it's shayach hevel on the new, right, utensils which could actually break it, so therefore it's going to be a different halacha. Hai v'amet yelo, that which is written v'amet yelo mibai Rava. You need it for Rava. Te'amar Rava, as Rava says, shor psulei hamikdoshin shenafal labor. When you have a shor which is psulei hamikdoshin, that they fell into a bor, patur. They're going to be patur. Shneimar b'sitz and pasuk v'amet yelo. Memi she'amet shelo. This is only the met belongs to him. She'yatza zeh she'amet shelo. So shor psulei hamikdoshin, if you remember, when it dies, then the met doesn't belong to him. The met belongs to Ekdesh. So since the met belongs to Ekdesh, it's not shayach lo. Ella, but rather, the pasuk says, kesef yashiv livalav. What does it mean, kesef yashiv livalav? Lerabot kol deit le ve'alim. This comes to include anything that has owners. Ihachi, if so, afilu kelim ve'adam nan. So even kelim ve'adam also. So Amarka, the pasuk says, shor ve'lo adam. Hamor ve'lo kelim. So therefore, what happens is that when the Torah says shor, the shor is coming to exclude a dam because an adam is not an animal. A shor is an animal. And when it says chamor, it's coming to teach you that it has to be a balei chayim, but it cannot be keli. Keli does not have life. A keli does not have balei chayim. Okay? Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rabbi Yehuda, the kamar bilu lekelim, right? That you wanted to include kelim, right? That you should be chayav on kelim. Yeah? Bishlema shor. I understand shor mimayet be'adam. You're going to be mimayet be'adam. Yeah? So it makes sense. Ela chamor mamaybe. He says, one second, but according to Rabbi Yehuda, shor comes to exclude a human being. That if a human being comes and falls into it, there's nothing. But what does chamor come to exclude? It cannot exclude kelim because according to Rabbi Yehuda, you're chayav on kelim. So what's the case then? What's it coming to exclude? Ela marava, but rather Rava says, hamor the bor le Rabbi Yehuda. The chamor of the bor of Rabbi Yehuda, the se da'aveda le divrei kol kashya, and se on a sheep for a shavat aveda, according to all the opinions, is going to be a question. Why be'emet did we need to write it? Meaning, it says by the bor shor or chamor. You're right. According to Rabbi Yehuda, I don't know why it's written chamor. It could have only written shor. You don't need to write chamor because it's not coming to exclude anything. So I don't need to write it. I don't know why it's written. So that's a question on what? That's a question on Rabbi Yehuda. Or se Davida. When it's written about returning a lost object, right? There's an entire pasuk over there where the pasuk says, "Lo tired shor achicha ot seyo nidachim." You're not going to see the shor of your brother or his sheep, which is going to be lost. You're going to close your eyes. You have to give it back to him. You have to do something for his chamor, for his clothing, for anything which he loses. So the question is, why did I have to say the seh by the Aveda? That's going to be a question according to all the why, because chamor over there is going to be written by there's going to be a question by Rabbi Yehuda, but the seh is a question about according to everybody. I don't have an answer. We do not have an answer. I mean, those are questions we do not have an answer. We don't know. Okay? Fine. 2 dots until everyone's clear. Yeah? Very good. Says the Gemara. 2 dots. We said in the Mishnah, Nafal letocho shor חירש, שוטה וקטן חייב. What happens if the shore of a חירש, שוטה וקטן comes, and what happens if the shore of the חירש, שוטה וקטן comes, and it falls inside of it? So you're going to be chayav to pay. My shore חירש, שוטה וקטן. If you're going to say it's a shore of a חירש, a shore of a שוטה, and a shore of a katan, right? That means you're going to say that it's belonging to the חירש, שוטה וקטן. He says, השור של פיקח פטור. Says what? I don't understand. It's only mashma that if it's a shore that belongs to a חירש, שוטה וקטן, you're going to be chayav, but if it's a shore of a regular person, he's going to be patur. Obviously, that's not the pshat. So what's going on there? So he says like this. He says, Amar Rabbi Yochanan says, shor shehu חירש, shor shehu שוטה. No, the shore is a חירש. The shore is a שוטה, or the shore is a katan. That's the case. And then you're going to be chayav. Yeah? So he says, Hashor shu pikach, you're going to be patur. Says the same question. Well, it's mashma that only if the shore is a חירש, or shore is a then you're going to be chayav. But if it's a shore pikach, then you're going to be patur. What's going on?
Shore is a חירש.
Huh?
How do you know if the shore is a חירש?
We know that it's a shore חירש. We know. Deaf mute. Can't hear anything. Doesn't hear.
Sure.
Yeah, but you call
You call it nothing. There's nothing what happens.
He's not afraid.
Yeah, exactly. You can make noises. That's not afraid. Yeah. That's just the same thing like a shoteh. How do you know the shore is a shoteh?
Exactly.
Well, listen. I know a lot of human beings that are shotehs and they're walking around. You understand? But you understand? So the same thing with the. Yeah, you understand. How do you know that the animal? Same thing. You recognize. You're able to see it.
Maybe the chamor is. We have the answer for the chamor.
Maybe he's a chamor.
You're saying that the human being that's a shoteh is a chamor. Saying that either way. Fine, let's go. So he says, Amar Rabbi Yirmiyah, he says, Lo mi Bava Kamma. I didn't need to say it. What does that mean? Lo mi Bava, not only in the case of a shor shu pikach that you're going to be chayav, but a shor shel חירש שוטה וקטן, right? Which just means a shor that is a חירש שוטה, not that it belongs to. Sorry, because when you say shel, it means it belongs to, not shel. Shehu, that he is a חירש שוטה וקטן. Ema, you would have said to say. חירשותו גרמה לו, קטנותו גרמה לו, ולהיפטר. You would have said, listen, that you should be patur. Right? Kamashmalan kamsit, you're going to be chayav. Which means this. I had a havamina to say if it was a normal shore, you're going to be chayav. But if the shore is a חירש, that's the reason why. He wasn't able to hear that people were screaming, pit, bore, in front of him. Or because he's a חירש, he doesn't understand what's going on. Or he's a shoteh, so he should be patur. Kamashmalan is going to be chayav. So Elmaleh Ravina says Ravina. Vatanya we learned in the Braita nafal letocho patur. My love shore. Sorry, nafal letocho bardat. If it comes inside of it a bardat, it's going to be patur. We're not talking about a shore bardat. So Elmaleh he says no. Adam bardat fell inside of the pit. So says the Gemara Elamiata Adam bendat who did the patur. What, a person's bendat that falls inside is going to be patur. Love bendat, but if he's not going to be bendat, he's going to be chayav. It says shore v'lo adam. We have a learning mifurash in the pasuk that says shor v'lo adam, that only a shor is going to be chayav if he falls inside of a pit, not an adam. Elamai bendat was mean bendat. It has to be like a type of a balei chayim that is like a bendat. So therefore, if it falls inside of its own, even though in itself is a shoteh or whatever it is, you're still going to be patur, okay, from pain, whether it did fall inside or not, whether it has a baldat or not. So Elmaleh, so he comes and he says, okay, fine. Tanya, we learned in the Braita, nafal letocho shor bendat, patur. If it falls inside a shor bendat, you're going to be patur. Ella, he comes and he says, Ela Rava, but rather Rava says, shor vehu חירש, shor vehu shoteh, shor vehu katan davka. Shor vehu pikach patur, you're going to be patur. Why? My tama, the baile yuna mezal, he should have looked. Meaning, according to what we're just saying now, only a shor which is a חירש שוטה וקטן, you're chayav on it. But if it's a regular shor, you're patur. Why? You should have looked. How many times do you tell a guy, Hamor, look where you're going? Why do you call him a Hamor? Because you should have looked where you're going. Yeah? Correct or not? So he comes and he says, we also learned the exact same thing. נפל לתוכו שור חירש ושוטה וקטן וסומה, מהלך ולהלך חייב. פיקח או מהלך ביום, you're going to be patur. That means according to what you're just saying, it should have looked where it's going. And then you're going to be patur for such a shore. Okay? Makes sense? Yeah? Very good. Mishnah. Nundalad Amubet. 54b. Mishnah. Says the Mishnah, Echad shor ve'echad kol be'ema. Whether we're talking about a shore or any animal that's going to fall into a pit that you're going to be chayav to pay. Ulafrashat Har Sinai, or to do the afrashat during the time of Har Sinai. We know that during the time of Har Sinai, right, everyone was separated from the Har Sinai during the time of Matan Torah. Everybody, even animals, everybody, nobody was allowed to go to the mountain. Tashlume kefel, or a ganav that has to pay double. V'lashavat avidat, to do with giving back a lost object. Leprika, to do with unloading, right? Unloading and helping the owners to unload. The hasima, lo tachsom shor b'zishor, right? You're not allowed to come and to muzzle an animal. Kilaim, you're not allowed to put a shor and chamor together. Shabbat, right? Or for the Shabbat. V'chen chayav v'of k'yotzaben. Same halacha would apply to chayav v'of. In ken, if so, lama ne'emar, why does it say shor or chamor? Ela shediber hakatuv be'oved. Which means that this. Here it's a Mishnah Mefureshet telling you that all the animals selamim shos. All the animals are the same. An animal is an animal. Yeah? What does that mean? It means that they all have the same halachot. That's what it means. They all have the same halachot. There's no difference. So why does the Torah keep on saying shor v'chamor? The Torah keeps on saying shor v'chamor because it's all common. Right? So they're really benet. They're all the same. They're all the same. There's no difference. Make sense? Fine. Says the Gemara. Lenefilat abor. Yeah, when we're talking about now falling into a pit. Kesef yashiv livalav. It says you have to give back the money to its owners. Ktiv al kol deitle baalim kedamran. So it has to be something that has owners, just like we said before. Okay, that means basically you're only going to be chayav if it's talking about an animal that basically that it has an owner. Okay, afrashat Har Sinai. When it says now that you have to separate all animals from Har Sinai, it says in bema imish lichye. So and wild animals also considered a bema, right? Ve'im im bema imish im zelarbot ta'ofot, because an off is not a bema, right? And it's not a chaya. But from the im you added in. So if you're not allowed to have any animals during Har Sinai, no animal is allowed to be in Har Sinai. Doesn't matter whether an off, whether a chaya or a bema. Okay, tashlume kefel, paying double. As we said, al kol davar pesha kelal, general rule. Right? Kol davar, right, is going to be anything which is going to be a pshia, which means that it's shayach to be a pshia in it, you're going to be chayav. So therefore, you're going to come and you're going to pay, whether it's going to be a be'ema, chayav, of, doesn't matter. Anything which is, right, and even things which are not balei chayim, anything which is shayach, pshia, okay, that you can be negligent. So you're going to be chayav. Hashavat aveda, it says, lechol aveda tachicha, anything that your brother loses. So it says anything your brother loses, it includes everything. Fine. Liprika, to unloading the animal. Yaliv hamor mi Shabbat. They learn Gzera Shavah hamor from Shabbat. It says in Devarim, lo ta'aseh chol melacha ta v'chamorecha. Right? It says over there, you're not allowed to do any melacha, even your hamor. And other balei chayim, it says ki tinei hamor sonecha v'tzach mazo. So it's Gzera Shavah. Just like you're not allowed to have, you have to have shvitat be'ema on Shabbat, which means that on Shabbat you're not allowed to have your animal working. It doesn't matter what type of an animal, whether it's a hamor or anything else. Because in it, hasima. What is hasima? Lo tachsom. You're not allowed to muzzle it, right? When it's going and doing all this. Yaliv shor shor mi Shabbat. You learn Gzera Shavah from shor shor. It says lo ta'aseh chol melachata b'shorecha, and it says by lo tachsom shor b'disho. So shor shor, just like by Shabbat, you have a isur of shvitat behema. So all animals. You're not allowed to have any animal work on Shabbat, not only just the shor and the chamor. So therefore, it's on any animal. So too, when it says lo tachsom shor b'disho, it's not only the shor, it's any animals. Yeah, the kilaim, right? When it says kilaim now, it says I kilaim the charisha. If you're going to tell me now it's kilaim of charisha, yalid shor shor mi Shabbat. You learned it already from Shabbat. I kilaim darba. If you're going to tell me it's kilaim of harba'a, which means you're not allowed to put them both together. Yalif b'mtecha b'mtecha mi Shabbat. So means he says mimanashach. At the end of the day, you're learning it from one thing or the other, right? It's either you're learning it from one thing or the other, but at the end of the day, right? It's right. It's going to be one or the other, okay? Which means that you have kilaim of charisha, and then you have kilaim, right, of harba'a. Okay, everyone understood the difference? Kilaim of harba'a and kilaim of charisha. So kilaim of charisha means that when they're doing charisha, when they're plowing, right, you can't put the kilaim. Kilaim of harba'a is not only when they're plowing. Stam, to breed them, to put them together. That's it. It's already, you don't have to plow. So if you're learning it from the plowing, you learn it Gzera Shava from Shoni Shabbat. And if you're learning it from Harba'ah, you learn it B'emtecha from Shabbat. So you learn it. Vegabe Shabbat, and to do a Shabbat, Minalan, how do we know? So he says, the time is we learned in the right. Rabbi Yosef Omer Mishum Rabbi Yishmael. Rabbi Yosef says the name of Yishmael. בדיברות ראשונות נאמר, it's written by דיברות ראשונות, עבדך ועמתך ובהמתך. So it says, עבדך, it says your slave, עמתך, right, ובהמתך, and your בהמה. ובדיברות האחרונות, it says, שורך וחמורך וכל בהמתך, ולא שור וחמור בכלל בהמה. We already know that שור וחמור was part of the בהמה now. So why did you take it out? Because if you already say, שורך וכל בהמתך, Chol b'emtecha already includes shor v'chamor. So why did you take it out? Lo malecha to tell you, shor v'chamor amur kan. Just like the shor v'chamor, which is written over here, chayav v'hov ketzabeh, also it includes wild animals and birds. Of course, so too, anytime that you have a mitzvah of the Torah, for example, prika or chasima or whatever it is, chayav v'hov is also included. So you have it there. So says the Gemara, eima be'ema v'dibrot rishonot klan. Shorcha v'chamorecha dibrot achronot is a prat, klal ufrat, and in the klal and shema prat. Shor v'chamor imi dechelin lo, which means like this. Remember that when you're doing the Yud Gimel learnings, right, the Yud Gimel different ways of Rabbi Yishmael, right, right, which is Torah Nidereshet, right. So we have 13 different general rules of how do you deresh the Torah. So you have something which is called klal ufrat uchlan. Klal ufrat uchlan is generalization, specification, generalization. So en beprat, that means it's included everything, but it should have to have the same characteristics, right, as the pirat, as the specification. But when you come, you have only a klal ufrat, which is a generalization specification. So therefore, it only is the prat. It's only the prat. When you had a klal ufrat uchlal, it's everything because the klal, the last klal included everything, but it has to be similar to the prat. Similar, but it includes everything. Here, it's not like that. Here, really, Be'emet, what's going on is it's only klal ufrat, so it's only the prat. So what's a prat? Shor v'chamor. So if you have dibrot rishonot, the first 10 commandments is considered the klal, and the second 10 commandments is the prat. So therefore, it's only shor v'chamor. It's not everything. That's what he's saying. So it says, yeah, but one second. Amri, but you have bechor be'emtecha also in the second 10 commandments. You had in all the animals in the second 10 commandments as well. So then again, you had a generalization. So it's again, klal ufrat uchlal. So therefore, okay, it's any animals. One more time, we thought that we were only going to take the generalization of the first 10 commandments, which is b'chol be'emtecha. Then we wanted to take the shor v'chamor of the second 10 commandments, saying it's a prat, and that's it. And then just say it's only shor v'chamor. Says the Gemara, excuse me. In the second 10 commandments, you also have b'chol be'emtecha. So therefore, it's a klal again. So if it's a klal again, klal ufrat uchlal. If it's klal ufrat uchlal, so therefore you have kena prat. The prat has to be ba'alei chayim, shor v'chamor. It's ba'alei chayim, but it's not only the shor v'chamor, right? It's including b'chol be'emtecha, but it has to be ba'alei chayim. Okay. Ve'ema. So says the Gemara, okay, fine. Why don't you just say ma prat mefurash tavash nivlato metamim magam masa va'afkol shenivlato metamim magam masa? It's fine. But why don't I just say that it's going to come to include anything which is going to be mitamim magam masa, right? Which means that at the end of the day, all these things, right? He comes and he says the nivela is going to be mitameh if you carry it or you touch it. So too it has to be the same thing, which is all types of behemot v'chayot. But ofot are not mitamim magam masa. So why don't I learn from the same klal ufrat uchlal le'apuke to exclude ofot? Answers the Gemara, Amri, if so. They said, in Ken, if so, nichtov rachman achab prata. Why don't we just write down one prat? Why do we just klal ufrat uchlal? Write one prat, right? Only prat echad, which is the shor or the chamor, and we still would have learned klal ufrat uchlal, right? So why did he add in another one? So the adding in another one is coming to tell you that even if it's not mitamim magam masa, it's still coming to include the ofot. So says the Gemara, fine, but which one do you want to include? Like which one? You only want to write down one. Whether it's a shor or a chamor, which one? Which one do you want to write? If it would have been written shor, have a meaning because it's brought to the mizbeach. But if it's not brought to the mizbeach, no. Because if you remember, the chamor is not brought to the mizbeach. Katav rachmana, so for the Torah is going to write the chamor. And if it was only written chamor, have a meaning because it's kadosh b'vchora, it's called pidyon bechor. We already did this already, right? But if it's not Katuv B'Charo, no, Katuv Rachman Ashor, they brought the shore. Ella, but rather, says the Gemara, you're right. V'chol be'emtecha is a ribuyahu. It's a ribui. And therefore, since it's a ribui, it's coming to include other things. So since it's coming to include other things, so therefore that's why it doesn't have the same halachot. V'chol echad dekatav Rachmana kol ribuyahu. Ask the Gemara, anytime that it says the word kol, it comes to include. Because you just said v'chol be'emtecha comes to include. Is that the general rule? Anytime that it says the word kol, it's coming to include. V'hal gabe ma'aser, it's written kol, and we make a drasha klal ufrat. The Italians will learn to the right. ונתת כסף בכל אשר תאווה נפשך. כלל. בבקר ובצאן וביין ושיכר פרט. ובכל אשר תשאל לך וחזר בכלל. כלל, אלא אתה יודע, כן, הפרט. מה הפרט מפורש? It's פרי מפרי. It has to be something that comes out from another fruit, meaning a fruit that comes from, and it's גידולי קרקע. It grows from the ground. So too, it has to be פרי מפרי וגידולי קרקע. Right? Which means that you're allowed to acquire בכסף מעשר שני anything that has, and that they learn from the word kol. So you see from here that they use the word kol as a klal ufrat uchlal. So why are we saying that the word kol is a ribui? Nothing to do with a ribui. It's klal ufrat uchlal. Okay? So says the Gemara, Amri, they said, you're right. Bechol is a klal. Chol is a ribui. Because it said in the pasuk, bechol asher ta'aven ashecha. So the word bechol is actually a klal. And then you can do klal ufrat uchlal. But when you say kol, is a ribui. It's coming to include. That's the first answer. Second answer, for you could answer the second answer. Klala, the kol is also klala. But kol deha ribuya, you will hear it's a ribui. It have a little mitzvah, but it could have written down ubemtecha. Kiliktiv is it's written b'dibrot harishonot in the first dibrot. V'katav bechol be'emtecha shmamina, because it could have just said ubemtecha. Why does it say kol be'emtecha? So he says, if it says v'chol be'emtecha, it's coming to teach you that it's actually going to be a ribui. So hashta damarta. So now that you just told me, right, that what kol is a ribuyahu. Now that you just told me that kol means a ribui. So be'emtecha, he comes and he says be'emtecha dibrot rishno v'shor v'chamor adibrot achron lamali. So why do I need this? Why do I need such a case then? So he says, Amri, they said shor. Lagmure, he says, Lagmure shor v'chasima. Chamor, as Lagmure, chamor leprika, which means it is. When it says now shor, we wanted to make a gzera shava for chasima. And when we said chamor, we wanted to learn a gzera shava for prika. Be'emtecha, we wanted to learn a gzera shava, be'emtecha lekilayin. You know, so what we're doing now? Now we're saying something incredible. Now we're basically coming and we're saying that every word was to teach you a gzera shava. Every word was teaching you a gzera shava. And that's what we did over here. Every word we came and we taught you a gzera shava. If so, afilu adam litzar. So he says, okay, fine. So you should even come and prohibit an adam also. So lama tnan. So why do we learn adam mutar im kulan, that a person is mutar with everything? Lachrosh limshoch, to do charisha or for mishicha. So Amar of Papa says, Papunai yade tamad aminta. The people of Papuna, they know the reason of this. Umanu, and who's that? Ravacha bar Yaakov. Amakra, it says in the pasuk, Leman yanuach avdecha v'amtecha kamocha. Le'anacha hi kashtiv. You did it for Nazarah on hanacha. Lanuach, right? That we just said, shvitat kelim, shvitat be'ema, sorry. You're not allowed to work your animal. So it's a kesh, velolo devar acher, which means that we only made the Adam and the be'ema together, but not to do with any other isurim, which is mentioned to do with the be'ema and the Adam, whether it's kilayim or other things like that. So therefore, the dam is not considered part. It's only to do with leman yanuach. Only to do with that you're not allowed to have your, just like you're not allowed to work on Shabbat, your animal's not allowed to work on Shabbat, but only that. That's the only thing that we're coming and we're making like kesh. Okay? Sha'al Rabbi Chanina ben Agili, et Rabbi Chia bar Abba, mipnei ma b'dibrot harishnon lo ne'emar b'hem tov. This is a very interesting concept. Why is it that in the first 10 commandments, it does not say the word tov? With the Dibrot Achronot, in the second 10 commandments, it says tov, because it says, right, in the Dibrot Harishonot, it says, right, leman yitav lach ala adama. Okay, so the question is, why is it that it does not say that in the second 10 commandments? Okay, and this is where we're going to stop this stuff.